What's up, y'all? It's Cousin Ched. What's up, y'all? It's Cousin Ched. Thank you, Boney Maroney, for that wonderful intro. And tonight, I'm here with Tom Burr. I almost said Bill. I literally almost did it. With Tom Burr. Tom, thanks for coming out. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
I know you've been at work today and got off work. Feeling good?
I'm feeling all right.
Nice.
A lot better now that I'm off.
Right. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
I go around and fix things.
Right on.
Matter of fact, I'm on call, but I don't think we have to worry about that right now.
Cool. You like it?
Yeah, I love the job.
Yeah.
Love it. It's probably the favorite job I've ever had. I've been working there not long. I worked as a maintenance guy somewhere else for about 11 years, and with the employment market being so broad nowadays, I figured, I'd go out and find something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah. It's one thing I've always liked about that type of work is you think you're not stuck in the same spot usually, unless you work for like a specific company.
Well, yeah, and if you're like me and you like working in solitude, you don't have to work around a bunch of people. It's really nice too, because you just go do your own thing, and it's nice.
Kind of your own boss in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, do you work for a company or do you work for yourself?
I work for a company.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we have one guy who's the main boss, and it's just a small crew of guys, and we each have our own shift. So I'm the only maintenance guy on my shift.
Right on. Do you? What kind of buildings are you working on right now?
Well, it's a factory.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
I go around and something breaks down, I go and fix it, and that's about it.
Well, that probably keeps you pretty busy in a factory. That's a lot of machinery.
Yes, most certainly. It can be a pain in the ass at times. Am I allowed to say ass?
Yeah,
Okay.
say what. I mean, I'm not trying to like go overboard, but I'm not also trying to censor
Okay.
either.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been playing music and between wife and kids.
Yeah.
And that's about it, man.
How many kids you have?
3.
Do you mind saying their ages? Like how old are they?
If I can remember, they're all teenagers now.
Okay.
My oldest daughter is 16.
Yeah.
My son, Cameron, is 15. And my daughter, Kaylin, is going on 14.
Right on.
So, yeah.
It's got to be a fun household right now.
Oh, man. I only know.
Yeah, I don't know. I literally don't.
Man, I tell you what, sometimes I wish I had like a house down in Florida or something I could just fly down to and just take a vacation for about a week and sort of reprocess and regroup.
Right.
And then go back up and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been an experience, man, raising teenagers.
For sure. And then you also mentioned your hobby, which is music, which is how you were introduced to me, is through your music, because you're friends with one of the Boney Maroney members. Thank you again, Boney Maroney. I appreciate you guys very much.
Anytime, man.
But yeah, and so as I said, I don't know what that's like. I don't have kids, so I don't have that experience. No, I mean, if it happens for me, it happens for me, but I'm at an age where I don't think it's necessarily going to happen. I'm not out here super trying, so. But anyhow, trying to balance that, right? You know, you said you kind of wish you had a spot in Florida, like almost a vacation home, because, you know, you've got these pretty major responsibilities, right? You got work. That's a major responsibility. I'm assuming you take a little bit of pride in your work, and you do a good job, and you take it seriously, you know? And then you've got a family at home. Like, that right there fills up life, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but first and foremost, I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And Rob will tell you, being a musician, there's a constant state of like mental torture that's in your head.
Yeah.
It really is. And you want to be selfish in life because you want to like go to places as a musician and be successful, but at the same time, when you're someone like me who's 35 years old with 3 kids and a wife, it's a little hard to pull off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's musicians aren't exactly the best decision makers in terms of life in general either.
Well, but I think you're talking about life as far as like gathering your resources and making sure you've got all your ducks in a row kind of thing. Because I think you also found your passion, right? I mean, when you say first and foremost, I'm a musician. When did you realize you were a musician?
I was okay. I gotta tell the story.
Yeah.
Because I was about 13 years old. I was sitting in my father's living room. He had this old turntable, right? And he has a wall full of records. I mean, crates full of these old records. Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, Yes. I mean, all these great bands, Heart. And the moment that I wanted to be a guitar player was when me and a buddy of mine, Dustin, were listening to this Ozzy record on his vinyl. And Paranoid Live with Randy Rhoads came on. And I heard Randy rip into that first chord, man, and it was just, I can't even put into words what I was feeling. It was just, that I wanted to play guitar then. I didn't give a damn where I got a guitar from or that was it, man. That was right there. Randy Rhoads was definitely huge.
So you said you were 13?
Yeah, 13 years old.
I don't know. And you're just going through your dad's albums, or is he just playing some?
Oh yeah, during the summertime he would work first shift, and so I had the house to myself, me and my brother.
Yeah.
And I would just go through and listen to all those records.
Right.
Every single one of them. And so it gave me kind of a head start on the having a little bit of knowledge for my age of those kinds of bands, you know, Heart, Dokken, I mean, all those bands that are kind of obscure in a way. So yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a spoiled moment.
They definitely give you a lot of exposure and introduced you to that type of music.
Oh yeah, and definitely influenced. Women and Children first album from Van Halen was just.
I heard some Van Halen in their song.
Yeah.
When I was listening to it earlier, I was like, it kind of reminds me of some Van Halen right there.
Yeah. And Eddie
You've
was the
seen
man.
Junior's grades.
Eddie was definitely the man, but also guys like George Lynch, Steve Lynch from Autograph, Two Hand Tapper, I would always loved him. Tommy Kloss from the band Czar. I mean, I can name a million of them.
Yeah.
So that's, I think all of those come into the whole AOR Gypsy thing too. I've been doing lately. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that because those are the 3 of the songs you sent me were from that, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of want to stay with like that early experience of you realizing you're a musician because I feel like when you find your passion like that and you kind of find your thing, that thing that becomes more important than being good at life, right? It's kind of realizing who you are and what you are and kind of like how this universe flows through you, if I could say it like that.
Yeah, and it's like moments like that, it does seem like something changes. Like there's this whole other dimension when you have those moments not only as a musician, but any artist or anybody.
Yeah,
It's like-
definitely.
It's like for the first couple of days you go through that transition, it's like you're not even really living in the same world. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I started actually getting serious at it probably at around age 14 or 15, I started digging into even more obscure bands. I mean, bands that nobody's even heard of from back in 85, 86.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed listening to even bands before that, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think the more that you pay attention to the little nuances that are between the notes rather than the notes that are played themselves, you'll learn to appreciate music even more.
Yeah.
So, my father was a musician, grandfather was a musician,
So 13, you hear, tell me who it was you heard?
Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads on which album?
It was a live album, I do believe. I
Really?
don't remember. Yeah, I do not remember the exact vinyl that he had.
That's Head Soup.
And is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. But man, that was it, dude.
Right. So you hear this. So how long from then to you getting your guitar, your first guitar?
From me hearing that Ozzy song to getting my guitar, oh man, we're talking. It was like maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And I had to actually make my own money to get my own guitar.
Right.
So,
There's nobody buying. Dad's not buying it.
No,
He's
Dad
not
wasn't
working
buying
that
it.
first shift
He
job he
said,
ain't.
you want this damn thing, you're going to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working first shift and you're messing up my vinyls by listening to them all the time. you're going to buy
Hey,
it.
you're not like trying to DJ scratch on him.
No. I wouldn't be here if I did that. I would
Yeah.
probably, he would have killed me.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I think I did have maybe a slight advantage in terms of knowledge.
Yeah.
At that age, because kids back then, I mean, you're talking about what 2000 and around the early 2000s. You had J-Lo, you had Jay-Z, you had, I mean, pop and hip hop were slowly taking over,
Yeah.
and then you had those.
Well, pop was becoming more hip hop.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
pop is
yeah.
always pop, right? It's what's popular, right? So, but what was
And-
popular was definitely.
Yeah, and not to say that I don't enjoy music from back then, but I've always been sort of latched onto, I guess, older music.
Yeah.
I just find the integrity of music, particularly nowadays, to be very diluted.
Manufactured.
Yeah.
It's very manufactured,
So,
in my opinion.
It's about what makes money.
It is, and
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, if we do this and we do this, then people's brains will be attracted to it.
yeah,
So
it's
let's
a
do
cookie
that.
cutter method.
It is very much a cookie cutter method.
It's the same thing that happened with grunge music when Nirvana came out. People thought they were the front runners, just
Right.
running when you don't realize there were so many great bands besides them under the surface. And so the record companies were like, oh, Nirvana, I guess we better start making some copies of them. And
Right.
next thing you know, we got a bunch of guys sounding like they got marbles in their mouth when they're singing vocals.
That's because that's what was popular.
But and I mean, look, investors are out there to make money. They see something that makes money. They're like, hey, I want one of those too.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the way music is. That's the way a lot of things in this world are. So I mean, it's just part of the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying because, one reason why I like Boney Maroney is there's a passion in the music. And when you have manufactured music, it's really hard to translate that passion. It's easy to tickle my brain, sure, with these chimes in the background or the triple snare or whatever their tricks are. I am so tired of hearing through like most songs. And then I don't care if it's country pop or hip hop pop or whatever. I'll get off my soapbox now, but I'm a little over it. I'm really over that fucking hi-hat through songs right now.
You're gonna have that, and like you said, the masses, they make you money.
Yeah.
And I think what the biggest problem is that people are afraid to sort of keep their integrity when it comes to writing their songs. And I mean, you know, band such as
Bonnie Maroney.
Boney Maroney here, you know, let's give an example. You know, these guys get signed to a label or record company.
Yeah.
Okay.
House on the Hills.
Whether they like it or not, there's going to be big changes, and they may end up sounding like everybody else in the band.
You know, I think that's the challenge of you know, that people do have to make those compromises, and the people that choose not to make those compromises, they don't make it through that gauntlet of investors and the business side of things.
You know what? That is more important to me than any amount of money in the world. Is keeping your integrity intact and keeping your language and your sound. I think that everyone who has that kind of identity should be apprehensive of any kind of bigger corporational deal or whatever they want to jump into. I think that your music that comes from you is a lot more important than any kind of paycheck. That's just how I feel.
Well, but and I do too. I love a true artist. To me, a true artist is raw. It's unfiltered. It's unrefined, right? Because true art is like a flow of consciousness. You know, for me to edit it, to me that takes away from the art of it, right? The art is the genius of it is simply what came out of your kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
You know, and so for you, obviously, you really there's a certain era, a certain style of music that just really speaks to you.
Yeah.
You know, that you heard that first time and it ignited, it lit your lamp, so to speak, and was like, hey, 13-year-old dude on the planet Earth, you're a musician now. You know what I mean? Like,
that's basically how it worked. I had absolutely no interest in music whatsoever.
Yeah.
In terms of being a musician, but yeah, that moment right there was like, boom.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I'm an adult now. I'm in massive debt. And we're gonna. That's the life.
Sorry to laugh at
That's
that.
the life of a true musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in passion, I'd say I've got some cousins that they do race cars. They're broke. You know what I mean? Because every extra dollar goes into that hobby, that passion. And so I want to wrap it back around a little bit to talking about, you know, having a balance of work life and being responsible there. You're part of a team of people. You're part of a small community. You know, you want to be respectful of your position. You want people, you know, when you want to get along. You've got your family. You know, you said you got 3 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
And then you've got your passion that you know you want. I mean, I imagine a passion like this, like you can't set it down.
No, you definitely can't just be like, oh, well, I don't think I need these kids and wife no more.
Can't do that either.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who have done that. There's a lot of people who have done that, unfortunately. But good on you, bro, for not, right? Because there's a lot of people that can be, that's a selfish thing.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to turn it off.
Just turn the phone off. It's the button on the side.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, right. Let's go.
Here, want me to help you with that?
I'm sorry.
I thought about
It's a
I
broken phone.
honestly thought about helping, but I figured by the time I got up and around the table,
I'm sorry.
she would have figured it
Keep
out.
going. This is great.
That didn't happen.
Wow.
So this commercial break is brought to you by timers. Timers work very well. They're gonna let you know
I'm so
timer's
sorry.
up.
I had it on
This is time to
silent.
The
transition.
alarm system.
So what's supposed to happen right here is this. Right
I'm so
now,
sorry.
I don't know.
right now, Bobby is supposed to get a signal from her to throw a pick at Crow.
Oh,
So
Okay,
Crow
there we
can
go.
get behind the drums because it's almost time for Boney Maroney. And that was our alarm to let us know so that we could have a smooth transition over to Boney
I'm so
Maroney.
sorry. I
And
failed.
and they're almost ready because this is a well-oiled machine that we're on here. This is definitely professional grade, as you can tell by our lovely tabletop and our lighting and our one camera and our lack of microphones.
Well, you,
But-
And Smokey and the Bandit in the back. You
And
got
Smokey and I love that.
you could
I
always
love
edit
that.
that out, right? Like just cut to, before
But-
that.
We're not-
I don't know if we're editing. I don't know if
can
we're
I
up to
say something?
editing yet.
We're not at that level yet.
Can I
We're
say
not at that
something?
level. Yeah, feel free.
What is your phone company?
Mine?
Yeah.
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile alarms are
Fabulous.
incredible.
Incredible.
The alarm systems
Oh,
and
the best.
are the best ever.
The best. T-Mobile, I would like a free phone for the free advertising.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, I give you Boney Maroney. Thank you, Boney Maroney. Thank you very much. Back with Tom Burr. So back to, I'm really enjoying this kind of talk about passion and balance, and trying to figure that out. Balance with family, balance with work, and balance with your passion. Because not all of us are blessed enough, even though we live in a really great time to where you can put yourself on YouTube, TikTok, and kind of create your own audience, right? You're not limited to just what's on the radio anymore. People do get discovered, and maybe we don't hear about them in mainstream, but you got like 30K likes on those 3 songs you sent me, probably 40K.
Oh yeah. A guy named, I hope I'm saying your name right. Please forgive me if I'm not. His name is Antonis, and he runs this massive radio station for like 80s metal rock or whatever.
Yeah.
It's called Rock Melodic Radio, and he's been really, really good about promoting us. And so whenever we come out with something and he likes it, he puts it up on his like YouTube or his radio station or whatever, and people just, it's awesome.
Yeah. Because it's giving you exposure.
Yeah.
Are you publishing your own videos?
Well, I was up until about a few months ago when some jerk decided to take a lot of AOR Gypsy songs from YouTube and make their own little mockery album out of it.
Really?
And they made it illegally downloadable on the website.
They made what illegal?
all of our songs. What happened was they took all of our AOR Gypsy songs, all these, and they were old and they were new. And what they did was they basically ripped the audio files from these videos, and they put together a bunch of songs into this album, and they made it available for download on this like German website. So we had to, I had to stop putting just videos out there for free.
Right on. So you, after they did that, people weren't able to download your music? Am I understanding you right?
Well, it wasn't that. It was just caused a bunch of confusion. Like, cause here's this guy that made an AOR Gypsy album out of a bunch of random songs that we did,
Yeah.
and people thought that we came out with an album.
Wow.
And so there was all kinds of confusion and everything. So
Mm.
that's a learning. It's a learning step, though. You know.
Well, with this whole new market, there's a lot of,
Yeah. So
and it's it's hard to regulate everything. So, did you ever have contact with this guy?
people have been after this guy for some time, from my understanding. I mean,
Because you're not the only person. who's
yeah,
done
I'm
this.
not the only person he's done it to. He's been doing that to a lot of artists.
Yeah.
So, we're getting ripped off right now as we speak, as people are just,
Going to listen to his
Yep. illegally downloading songs. for
version.
free.
Wow, bro, that kind of sucks, and there's really no way to combat. I mean, how do you combat that?
He's good. He's good. So, trust me, there's many other artists out there right now who are going after this guy, and he's
Sure.
Can't you-
That's tough.
Yeah, lawyer
But-
put a stop on it?
But are you able to monetize your music now though?
Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, we're coming out with an EP. We'll be finishing up the 17th of this month, actually. I'm going up to Akron to Mercenary Studios to finish up everything, and we're going to do something a little differently this time. We're not going to. I don't know that we have intentions of even putting it out there for streaming right now. It may just go to physical copies, and that's it. And that's the benefit of sort of being an independent artist, I guess, is that, you have that option. You
Yeah.
don't have labels telling you what to do. You don't have a record company telling you what to do. So, and, it's not like I'm hard up for like $5 here and there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but we're definitely gonna be a little more careful about how we go about things.
Well, it's a learning curve, and your passion is not business management, right? Your passion is playing the guitar.
Yeah.
So,
I'm definitely not
it's
yeah.
you're good at playing the guitar. You have to figure out all these other steps along the way so that you can manifest what you need to do, right?
Right.
And it's a learning curve because, well, we all start off where we start off.
Yeah.
And you, some of that stuff like what you're describing, I'm sure that before that, well, let me ask you, did you ever imagine something like that happening to you?
Well, no. Simple fact is that, honestly, here in the U.S., nobody cares about AOR Gypsy. Nobody's ever heard of AOR Gypsy.
My 40
Except for
followers
like-
have. Well, okay, the 5 of you that actually watch, thank you very much. And after tomorrow, it'll be like 10. Thank you, extra 5. Thank
Well, that's how it is for me.
We're growing one step at a time.
I don't have a lot of, attention here in the U.S.,
Yeah.
but, in parts like Europe, Germany, Peru, even some South America, it's like, you could swear that I'm getting played on the radio down there every day. It's insane. The fan base down there is completely different.
Say where this is again? Where?
Sweden, Europe, you're talking about Peru, some region in South America, Germany. All these other countries.
So, hold on a second. Because is this because of this sneaky dude that makes your stuff and somehow that becomes like something that gets your name out there? And now
Oh,
people
no,
are-
no. This guy did this because of it
I
was
see.
because of the exposure from out there.
God.
And the thing that really made me laugh was the same guy that did this wrote an entire article about AOR Gypsy, and was like, praising and writing all these nice things. And the next thing I know, I find out this guy's got our songs illegally available for download. So, what really, I guess got a little bit of attention for AOR Gypsy was Antonis from Rock Melodic Radio, when he started playing AOR Gypsy songs on his YouTube and his radio show. And it's crazy, man. It blows me away how nobody in this country even gives a damn about something like that.
Well, I think, in my perception, that style of music, it had its time, but I don't know. I just don't think it had really the longevity, right? That other forms
Well-
had. It's a form of rock and roll, and I understand there's a lot of people that really like it, and I think one of the things that you exemplify is that there are a lot of people in Germany and Sweden that like that hard rock, that hard driving 80s style.
Well, here's the thing. I think music is sort of reaching a tipping point right now. I mean, I loved all kinds of music back in those days. I was particularly fond of anything from Cinderella to Nate Dogg and Warren G. You know, I absolutely love stuff like that. But when you and I were younger, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have all these online streaming sites. We didn't have all this information at the palm of our hands on the phone.
Man.
Now these kids nowadays, okay, they have all that information, and next thing you know, they're like, well, who the hell is Motley Crue?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Motley Crue, oh, there's another band that sounds just like them, another band, and they start wormholing their way down to these bands that, hell, most people our age don't even know about, that were popular or not popular back in the 80s. And I think that their encyclopedia of knowledge right now with these kids that are like 15, 16 years old, hell, they probably know more about music, about bands back then than we do.
Yeah. Well, you used a really good word there, because you said the encyclopedia they have. That actually is very limiting, because we had encyclopedias. They have the internet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, literally, I had a question about something.
We had
I had to go look it up in a book.
Yep.
Literally, I had to go find the encyclopedia. What letters does it start with?
It's a library.
You know? And now, like you said, palm of the hand, and it's like, I can ask any question I want to know the answer to. And if I get turned on by something, if I find something, I can follow it into that, you know, to that meaty person where you find that person that has passion for it. I want to use the term, they geek out on it, right? They geek out on it, and they can keep following it. They can keep going down and find out who's producing and all that jazz. Go ahead, Bubby.
One thing they cannot do though is go see Joan Jett and Loverboy at Hare Arena and actually feel when the lights go down in the crowd. Okay, they can't get that on the phone.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. There's
And I
definitely a
know
lot.
for a doubt that Tom knows that feeling, you know, that is the feeling, and I'm speaking completely because Tom's way smarter, way better guitar player than me, this, that, and the thing. But that feeling, when the lights went down, and I heard the crowd, and okay, I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but my heart just sank. Okay, you can't get that on the phones, and that is
Yeah,
what's
well,
lacking.
and there's no
That's a
doubt
good
about
point.
that. And
Yeah,
Good point.
Thank you for the cut in. I didn't mean to cut in.
you're good, bro. I mean, that's still available, right? You can still go to a show. It's harder to, you know, it's more
Yeah.
organic the way, because like in order for you to set up a show, you don't have some kind of pre-made system, Ticketmaster that makes it all.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah. I think pounding the pavement is a very underrated statement.
Yeah.
You know, like we had to go out and do so many other things that seemed like a task then, but hell, you could buy anything that you want and everything you'll need from eBay or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that the same concept works in terms of music. If you wanted to hear a band, and if you were curious about them, or you didn't know who the hell they were, you just bought the damn record because it was there in a pawn shop somewhere, that's what you had to do. You couldn't just stumble upon them on
Yeah,
a
they like
random
go
YouTube
sifting
channel.
through, and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
like this cover.
So I
This
think
looks
that
good.
as good as this is, as great as this kind of thing is for kids today to sort of learn their history,
Yeah.
I think it can also be detrimental.
Well, sure.
Because the digital world is making musicians alike. It's such a broad area, man, and it's easy to get lost into that flood of things.
Well,
Look here.
I think part of it is that we're in this moment, right, where the economy's a scale. It's an economic 102 term. Anyway, the economy's a scale, which means like how much it costs to get up to a certain level. Right now, because of the internet, we have this free open. This is like a whole nother universe, a whole nother planet. Let's say it like that,
Yeah.
right? That now becomes available to a kid like Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
That
Billy
becomes
Irish.
that become, but it's available to anyone that is producing content,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And music is good content because guess what? If I like a song, it's getting more than one view from me. I like Joe Rogan too, but I'm not sitting down and watching his 2-hour chit chat with somebody twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But your music, your song, I might listen to that over and over.
Well, yeah, there is a big difference between listening to something and not getting tired of it for 3 minutes and then a half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is that as much as all this chaos and this kind of loose and you know you said that people can get lost in it, I think it's also just part of that is also the flip side of having the opportunity. That artists don't need to depend on the old avenues to get their music out.
Yeah, and that is very true, but at the same time, everybody's able to do it. Hell, you got 10-year-olds out there that are playing Yngwie Malmsteen songs and getting 20,000 views. And,
Sorry, who's
Yngwie Malmsteen, oh
Tell
my
me.
lord, Rob.
Yngwie Malmsteen,
is-
complete classical. I opened up for him twice. And fucking incredible, like, incredible. Neoclassical, incredible. Probably the top of the line. He don't even need a singer.
Yeah.
Okay. And what he was saying is you got 10-year-olds doing that. And he also said they didn't hit the street. It's just sitting there. All right.
Yeah.
They can play like that, but they don't have the passion of actually. And one thing I'll say about AOR Gypsy, when I heard the song last night, and I've heard it a couple times, but I actually paid attention, is actually writing your own song, hearing your own song. That takes more balls than you can believe, because 1 million people will hear themselves with their own song and they'll stop. And Tom is AOR Gypsy, brother. This is Boney Early, not Bobby Burns.
Cheers, bro. So great to see you, my man.
Thank you.
All right.
But yeah.
And I'll shut up, I'm sorry.
But yeah, like I said, it's good to have the access that kids do nowadays, or anybody else for that matter. But it makes it that much harder to get yourself seen because it becomes so broad.
Yeah.
You know, and it's extremely difficult. I wish to God that we were still back in the days where you could sell albums and call. You know, that was it. You know, you had to get out there. You had to staple posters on the telephone.
One more thing and I'll shut up. You had to go to the record store.
Yep.
And get that record, and you had to have that waiting for that record, and you got it, and you took it home and you played it. Yeah, you had to go get it. And I'll shut up. I get it. But, yeah.
But
I love Bobby Burns. I mean, I love Bone and Romy, not Bobby Burns. But so yeah, cause like, I mean, I get it, right? You're talking about on the street, beating this pavement, so to speak. You know, that sleeping in your van as you're traveling from small city to small city, so you can play in some museum for, if you're lucky, 1,000 people or something,
Do what
right?
you
I
gotta
mean,
do.
like you said, this time before the internet, right? Like that's what music was. That's what musicians had to do.
Mhm.
Did you do that?
Well, when I started actually getting into bands, yeah, we were doing a lot of manual labor. I mean, we were printing out flyers, we were doing all kinds of that stuff. And I mean, even people act like that was like 40 years ago. It wasn't. It was as recent as like 2008 when you still had to do a lot of things manually.
Yeah.
I remember when I didn't get my first Android phone until I don't know, it was like 2014 or something like that. But yeah, I do believe that work ethic kind of suffers from having so much of this access to.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say I don't like it, but at the same time, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? I mean, I've taken advantage of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, It's,
I mean, that's one reason why I force myself to sit down and say, this is important enough for me to do it with just what I have, you know, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not gonna be perfect, and, you know, but I wanna do it, and so, you know, but you describe some of the pitfalls of this new world that we've entered in, literally within the last decade, right?
yeah, roughly.
Literally,
Yeah.
and it's changed like that. But there's this awesome opportunity. There's this wave, and well, personally, I want to be on it, and express myself, manifest myself the best way, which is I love talking to people. You know what I mean? Like when I sit down and think about what do I like to do, one of my favorite things is just talk to people. Literally, you know what I mean? Like. You know, I'm that kid that was in high school. I'm literally on the phone. Like people are like, you're weird. You're on the phone. You know, guys don't do the talking on the phone for a long time, y'all. But me, I love it.
Oh my,
Man.
my wife does
Too.
that. Oh, man. Yeah.
But
You're on the phone all night.
but you know, but at that time, in order for you, because you know, this is the time that you were born into. You know, when you're 13. And you realize you're a musician, and then you grow into your teen years. I mean, what's that like? I mean, I imagine, you know, garage band. You're like playing in your buddy's barn. What are you doing? Like, where are you rehearsing? Who are you playing with?
Well, I mean, my teenage years, I just spent a lot of time at home practicing.
Yeah.
I had this shitty little, like, solid state amp that was like this big, and I had this guitar that I got from like Toys R Us or some shit. But that was what I had, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up.
What was your first guitar?
It was a first act.
That's a great question.
It was this old Eddie Van Halen ripoff that sounded absolutely horrible and played horribly. But I was so excited. I was so excited to hold a guitar in my hand and plug in this little amp, and it sounded just like
I know
a bunch of bumblebees.
Yes, perfectly. Yes,
And
yes.
but it was just awesome.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I really didn't start getting serious about being in a band until I was probably 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah,
So
right.
I guess by a musician standard, I got started kind of late.
I mean, you get started when you get started.
You know. Yeah.
You didn't get started at 35. At least the universe was kind enough to like knock you on the head when you were 13. Be like, hey, this is what you're doing.
Oh God, I don't know where I would be if I hadn't started as a musician at 35. Because I think that everything that you do, every single little thing that you do, whether you're young or you're old, it affects the path that you're on.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Every decision.
And everybody has a goal. They have a direct path that they want to go down. But everything that you do in your life, it affects that. The next thing you know, you're branching off into another road. And so,
You know, I think that's such an important lesson, and I don't think that I didn't realize it in my teen, early adult life, right? I had this idea in my head, I guess this almost fantasy of how things were going to pan out. And then I realized that I didn't know who I was, right?
life was like, hello.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot. You know, I was like, damn, all this time I wanted to get out of school, and now I just wish I was in school because that was so much easier.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have teenage kids,
Yeah.
and so this is part of their time is they're learning who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their brains are figuring it out for them, and they're working through this life. And you give them one example, which is, hey, if you can find your passion, this is what you do. How do they? What kind of audience are your kids and your wife for your music?
They love it. I know my two girls they're eating it up right now. They think just because I have a bunch of like YouTube views on that rock melodic radio that I'm some sort of hot shot, but I'm not. I'm still working in a
Ain't nothing
factory.
wrong with your kids thinking you're a superhero.
Right. I'm still working in a factory trying to support a wife and kids.
Right.
But they love it.
That's what makes you a hot shot.
They're one of my biggest supporters. My wife is My wife and I are two completely different people.
Yeah.
Two completely different people. But she's very supportive. She's the most awesome person in the world. But I think it's very important, the impression that you make on kids, even if it comes to something like music.
Yeah.
To at least make them aware of what you liked, instead of just being like, well, listen to what you want.
Well, but it's about teaching them how to make choices, right? Like,
Yeah.
and helping them understand who they are, right? In a way, you're lucky, man. To know what you're supposed to do at 13, I think is a really big blessing. I really do. When I hear, I heard Dave Chappelle talk about he was around that age when he knew that's what he, I want to be a comedian. That's what he did, and I think that's a very lucky, blessed, whatever term you want to use, right?
Some of us
And some of us, like, we'll spend our whole lives. Some people never figure anything out that just like satiates their soul to be like, this is my purpose, right? And so, because you had that, I'll call it a blessing, and because you were a teenager and realized the struggles that you had to go through, how do you translate that lesson to your kids?
Well, first of all, I wish to God that I had somebody tell me what I'm telling them when I was younger. I wish I didn't have any direction. I didn't know that, you couldn't become a musician, and then you had to work, and then you had to like have all these obligations and responsibilities at the same time. You know what I mean? When you're young, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a rock star.
Right.
And next thing you know, but
You said like smashing.
yeah,
Hey,
like
I don't know what you were thinking, but you were wrong.
But I told my kids that whatever they're passionate about, follow it and spend as much time with it as you can, but you have to be practical.
Yeah.
You have, there's a direct path, like I said, that you have to go down, and you have to make sure that everything that you do doesn't veer too far off from that direct path.
And it's such a challenge to have a passion that doesn't fund your life. It's just you know what I mean? Like, that you're not getting paid, right? So you don't get paid for doing what you love. You got to go do this job over here, do this job over here, because not everybody can figure out how to monetize their passion, right? To flip that back around to, the internet kind of helps do that in a way. People are figuring out how to monetize their passions.
Wow.
I mean, there's a kid that shows up. Oh my gosh, when you spray the sidewalk and you clean it off, power washing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that's necessarily his passion, but he's starting his own little business. He's using the internet to advertise for it. He seems to be enjoying himself. But to go back to trying to find that balance, I think of it. I know a lot of people. I was in seminary for a while, and so I know people that are now ministers. And they don't like the way that the ministry has changed. Not everybody has a church. A lot of people have to work in these other ways and try to create their ministries in other ways, so that they're not getting paid for their passion, right? They haven't figured out that way. And today's world, you need insurance, especially you got kids, right?
Gotta have it.
Gotta have health insurance.
Yep.
I mean, those are some of the obligations you're talking about. Some of those things people didn't tell you. Hey, oh, by the way,
You gotta have insurance, you gotta have all this other crap, you gotta pay a buttload of taxes. Yeah, I think if somebody really, really, really wants to pursue something, such as, it could be something like you said, as power washing, if they wanna start a power washing business, they gotta make a lot of damn sacrifices to make sure that's successful in that particular area. So I just don't think, it's just people who aren't willing to do that will end up like me.
Well,
We're, working a full-time job and trying to balance that along with trying to be a musician. If you really think that you want to be a musician or whatever, a painter or a football player,
Sure.
then man, you really have to be careful and not get sidetracked. I mean, it's as simple as that. There's no half-assed about it. And don't have like a bunch of kids at an early age.
Well,
Children are a blessing too.
yeah, they are. But I get it, right? Because sometimes when we're younger, we make decisions or things happen, and life happens sometimes to us. I know there's a lot of people out there want to manifest things, but at the same time, life happens. Like you can't foresee it.
No, no.
Um,
But it's just best to be prepared.
yeah. But so, what does that look like for you, a musician now? Like, how do you divide your time up, right? Because you're working 40 hours a week. You got the family.
I basically squeeze it in.
Yeah.
It's whenever I get the free time, that's when I dedicate whatever I need to do to writing or going to practice with one of the bands that I'm in.
Mention that. Mention that too.
Trippin' Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cover
Trippin'
band,
Fish.
I'm in Trippin' Fish. Yeah, they're
Incredible band.
great people.
Go see 'em.
But I think
Tripping fish.
once you get to a certain point in age, and I'm probably wrong, but that's just how I feel. I'm 35 years old. I think that it's a little late now for me to just drop everything and go to LA and try to throw my dick around, basically. You know what I mean?
Hey,
So,
there's only one dick on this
A
show.
whole new world.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's never too late, buddy.
Ever.
Well,
I just, real quick, I only want to say this. I went to culinary school at 31.
cook.
I took off from Ohio, went to Las Vegas. My kids were small. It's just what growing up, I didn't know. I didn't have that knowledge of I can make money off my passion. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So then when I realized it, in 2006, I was like, I can make money on this. I took off. I've made over, I could probably say hundreds of thousands of dollars off of that move over the years. 46 now. It's never too late, bro. Never too late. Especially now because your kids are older. See, my kids were small and it was a little messed up, but your kids are older, so you can take off, bro.
Oh yeah,
Go
dude.
see your dream. Go throw your dick around, as you said.
When they leave the house, you better believe we're going to be making up for a lot of lost time,
But-
me and my wife.
But
But that's
I,
besides the point. You're right, though. You know what I mean? Like you're absolutely right.
You're
but
never
I think,
too old.
I think
That's
I've
my
just
point.
become very complacent, and I think since having a family, I've become much more passionate about being a family guy. You know what I
It
mean?
is there.
and Boney Maroney knows Bobby Burns real well. And one thing Bobby Burns will say about Tom is one thing that he has is the passion. He has that, and yes, he's 35, done it, but he's never stopped. He's taking care of business. He is a man's man, and incredible. He's going to get there, without a doubt.
I hope.
Cheers.
Well, and that goes back to trying to figure out how to balance, right? Life's happening to you, you know what I mean? Like, I moved away one time, but then I realized, like, I really miss my family. I really miss my family. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
that guy to go, right? My mom left when I was like, right after I graduated high school, when she moved to Alaska. You know what I mean? She was able to do that, but I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah, dude. I
don't want to run. I don't want to leave. Like I've been around. Don't get me wrong. I was in the Navy. I moved around. But we're talking about that balance again, right? And you are 35, and you got these responsibilities. I'm sure raising 3 kids to where you've got them right now. This is not an easy thing.
No, and it's just. I know I said I was a musician first, but I love being a father. I love being a husband, and that is what has to happen. It's not something that was just thrown on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I made these choices,
Right.
and I'm taking responsibility for my actions.
Right.
Whether I am successful at this, that, and the other thing or not. I have a family, and that's where my attention needs to be.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go with Boney Maroney for a minute, but when we get back, I want to hear more about the tripping what?
Trippin' Fish.
Tripping Fish.
Cover band.
Cover band for Fish.
They're a cover band. They're great people. They've been in Dayton for the longest time. Jane Updegraft, the White Ballon, David Wilson,
Yeah.
David Wilson Jr., Shannon Callison, Fred Rock, all
Yeah.
great people.
We'll talk about them a little bit more when we come back. And now for some more Boney Maroney. Thank you, Boney Maroney. I appreciate you very much.
I love that.
Anytime, baby.
Oh,
Anytime.
dude. I like that guy. Why? Because he's passionate about his music, man.
Yeah, Rob is
You know, is it super refined? What he did just now? No, he's riffing, right? He's just playing,
Rob is
and
like a
that's
clock. He
beautiful.
never stops.
right? Yeah, my guy's got his amp and guitar on him all the time. I mean, Boney Maroney, aka not Bobby Burns. So to go back to now where you are now with music, one of the things you're doing is playing with a cover band.
Yeah, Trippin' Fish. I've been with them for, God, I think it's been like close to 4 years now. Great musicians. And they're all, I mean, I'm going to try not to sound rude here, but they're all older than I am.
Right.
They're all in their, their 50s and stuff like that, but they are the greatest type of people to work with, musicians. I know I've learned so much from them. Yeah, right now, we're kind of at a standstill because our drummer, Dave, he's been in the hospital with COVID. As a matter of fact, he just got out today.
Good.
So
That's good to
hopefully
hear.
we'll be hitting the streets here soon and
Yeah.
playing again.
So where do you play? Like
Oh,
where
yeah.
can people see?
We played a lot at the Oregon Express down there in the Oregon
Yeah.
district.
Hey fellas,
Um,
you're closer to the camera than I am.
at Bojangles. I mean, we played everywhere in Dayton. Cats Lounge, I think we played there one time or something or another.
Right.
I mean, everywhere. Just anywhere that somebody wants us to play, we go. And
Yeah.
I love playing in that band. Very, very cool.
What's one of your favorite kind of venues to play in?
I would have to say my favorite would be, oh, there's so many. I would have to go with the old Bojangles bar.
Yeah.
Now, not like they are now, where they have that little corner stage or whatever. Bojangles back in around 2008, 2009 had this big stage, and there was this big open area, and it was just amazing to play there. Rob actually was old band Sister Machine. My band played with his band down there at Bojangles. It was some of the greatest times I ever had.
Nice.
Incredible times.
Yeah.
And I'd give $1 million. Well, my dick is the star of the show, but your dick and our dick at that show were incredible. Yeah, I'd give our dicks to go back. It was good times.
I don't know if I would do
Good
that.
times. Good times, but that was incredible stuff.
So, back to the real star of the show. So you're doing a cover band, and what are you covering?
Everything from Fleetwood Mac to Tool.
Yeah.
You name it, we pretty much do it. I mean, they are a lot better musicians than I ever could dream of being, so they know pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been at it for, I don't know how long, probably since before I was even born. And so they just, I mean, you name it, we play it, basically.
Yeah.
We got a catalog. You know, last I checked, we had over 50-something songs that we have to squeeze into a set list on a full night.
Wow.
Not to mention the ones that are on the back burner, you know.
Yeah.
So it pays good sometimes.
That's awesome.
But,
Sometimes.
You know, being in a cover band, is all right and all, but there's some part of you that wants to write original music too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to expand your horizons though.
Yeah.
And being a cover band, no matter where you are as a drummer or guitar player or whatever, I think it's really important to learn how to play other people's stuff.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to learn about learning somebody else's creation and like how music works, you know.
Yep.
And also the discipline of it, I'm sure, is helpful. You know, just the fact that you get to play, right?
Yep.
That you're able to dedicate this time, like you said, you're able to make some money off of it. You know what I mean? Like, and you have an audience, and that's, I don't know, how like was this Tripping Fish? Were they already kind of established when you joined them, or
They were they were called Crystal Fish before I joined, and their old guitar player, they had some sort of issue with the name and all that, so their guitar player had the rights to the name, so they had to rename it after I joined the band. But no, these are all established musicians, make no mistake about it.
sure?
I mean, they got it real deep in terms of what they've been able to do, at least in the local scene.
Yeah.
So more times than not, if you go to like any kind of local music scene, bar venue, whatever, if you mention one of their names, they're probably gonna know who they are.
Sure.
Not me though.
Well, but like you said, they've got 10, 20 years on you, right? They've been out there pounding the pavement, right? They did their due diligence, so to speak.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah,
So
and I have to say this. Bonnie Maroney, who knows Bobby Burns well, you are completely part of the band. You, without a doubt, you fit into that band so well. You, Jane, Dwight, you guys, I've been to 2 of their shows. I was going to go to one of their shows. I was disappointed that they had problems with COVID, and I couldn't go to the show a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
And one of the band members is my sister, and you definitely belong in that band, without a doubt.
They're good people.
Without a doubt, you enhance that band. You played Barracuda with my sister, and it was incredible. Thank you, sir. I feel to see that again.
Well, hopefully we can do it again. It's just a matter of people staying healthy, you know. It's been a hell of a 2 years, man.
right. Yeah, it makes it when you're trying to beat the pavement, so to speak, get out there and do things that, you know, for you require people to gather together so
Yep.
they can listen to your music live, right?
Marketing. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but but you do have some projects. One that apparently you've got some fans in Germany and Sweden.
I mean, anywhere but here.
The AOR
Gypsy. Yep.
Gypsy.
AOR Gypsy.
AOR Gypsy. I almost said project for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
AOR
It
Gypsy.
is. It's basically what it is. It started out as a half-assed project that I just wanted to do on my free time
Yeah. between
between everything else in life, and then it ended up turning into something that it turned out a little better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
later on, so
And can you give me some insight behind the name?
AOR basically is just the meaning of, AOR rock, album-oriented rock, or as people like to refer to it sometimes as adult-oriented rock. It's the more obscure music that you don't really hear from back in, let's say, the mid-'80s or whatever, album-oriented rock, AOR, and Gypsy, I have no freaking idea how I came up with that. It might have been from, you ever watched the movie, with the jet?
Top Gun?
No, not, the other movie, besides Top Gun, the other jet fighter movie,
Like around the same time?
oh
or?
yeah, definitely around the same time. It was a little less popular in Top
If
Gun.
you know
You
the
talking
answer,
about,
put it in the
the
comments.
one, Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle,
Yeah.
that was the
Iron
movie.
Eagle?
Yeah.
So yeah, he knows.
Yeah,
he
and
knows.
that, what's the black dude, man? He was in.
Cat Chap.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
yeah.
I do
can't
remember he
his
was in
name.
a lot of movies back
That's what I was
then.
getting ready to say.
Y'all-
Yeah.
What was
Three.
his name?
I'm about to look it up.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
look that up because
But-
that dude was actually a really good actor,
Yeah,
man.
he
And
was, and he was
people
a
don't
lot
give
of
him a lot.
Bald-headed guy.
They don't
Bald-headed
remember.
guy,
Yeah, the
right?
bald-headed
Yes,
guy.
bald-headed guy, yes.
Chappie.
Not a lot of people give him love, man. Like,
Yeah.
like even like, oh, we're gonna name some black actors that are really like that dude deserves to be on the
Oh
list
yeah,
for sure.
he's awesome.
He's
But
good.
Lou Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett Jr.
I couldn't- I
Sure
couldn't
enough,
believe it.
as soon
As
as
soon as I
and-
saw it, I was like, oh yeah,
yes.
that's it.
And now that we know his name, been in tons of stuff. and
Tons
killed
of
every
stuff.
time.
Oh yeah.
Killed
Yeah.
every time.
Oh yeah, tons of
he
stuff.
was oh man, you remember the one about them going to another one dude and went to another planet and he had met up with one of the aliens and was like the alien saved him and
I remember that one.
No.
hold on.
But that movie right there, Iron
Yeah.
Eagle. There's a song called "Road of the Gypsy" by a band called Adrenaline, and I think that's where I drew that inspiration from. I don't remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Got you.
Yeah, I've always liked that song, but I don't know. Maybe, and I spelled the Gypsy with a Z instead of an S. So
You like to be different.
that's what. Well,
Enemy Mine.
The
The one he played the alien. And he was in the mask. He was all covered up in his face.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it was him unless you know what I
Right,
mean. And
right.
he ended up coming out. The alien he was playing was a male, but on their planet, males gave birth, and it
Got you.
I wouldn't want to go.
That man was
Yeah.
groundbreaking. I just want to give a shout out Lou Gossett
Sorry,
Jr.
yeah, Lou
I don't
Gossett
know if he's
Jr.,
still with
yeah.
us or not, but
No, I think he's passed.
that,
Yeah.
hey, you need to go watch some, especially if you like retro older movies. Lou Gossett Jr. is a good actor.
Yeah, he's
So AOR Gypsy, album oriented rock, right? Which you
Basically.
describe as this kind of not mainstream rock. It's rock. It's little. There's a word I'm looking for.
Obscure.
Yeah, that's the word you use. Yeah,
Yeah.
obscure. And fair enough. So you picked that because you kind of identify. You like being that. I didn't sell out. I'm just doing my thing. I'm not mainstream. You're not gonna just get 3-chord rock out of me, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's that, and it's the. I always enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. I really love a lot of the mainstream artists that were around back then. I mean, everybody did. But slowly over the years, I became very fond of like these older bands that nobody's ever heard of, who had these like real low budgets.
Yeah.
And you would hear these recordings, and you would hear all these like, all of this stuff that's flying around in the air in the recordings in between the notes that are being played, and it had just this certain charm to it and this ambience. And I was always just kind of fond of that, man. I always liked listening to records that were less than perfect quality. There was just something about it. It's very genuine.
Is that similar to what I was describing as like true art is
Yeah.
kind of raw and unrefined?
Yeah, like the
Because
raw.
it really just so and maybe that's part of what attracts you to this music is that it's not corporate cookie cutter.
Right.
It's definitely some people with passion just doing their best.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I think for the people that are out there just doing that you even though, you know, some of your people were when you were a kid, for people to realize, you don't know, somebody's paying attention. Maybe it's not at a super big international level, you know. What's the Korean band's name right now? What are those kids? The super K-pop?
You're talking about
BTC or something like that?
BTS. My
BT
daughters love BTS.
Really?
Yes.
I bet you it's across the United States, bro.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like teenagers, like literally, probably just cannot get away from it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so you know, you don't have to be on that level. You can still express your passion, express yourself. You do get some listens. I mean, what was the one? I think it was only posted like 10 months ago.
That might have been Nukem You. Yeah. And it's gotten a lot.
It's over
of attention.
10K
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. But that's the thing, man. Like, I'm not going into this seeking any kind of fortune or even notoriety for that matter. I just love composing music and publishing it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at a point in my life to where I don't really, I can take it or leave it.
So what happens if you have some viral situation and you become the non-obscure? Because am I wrong? I mean, and if I'm pressing too much, if I'm getting in too much, but you kind of like to identify with the obscure. You seem like you want to be in that. You want to be what you were a fan of,
Yeah.
in a sense, right? Because that's how much appreciation that you had for those artists.
Yeah.
Right? So much appreciation that you're like, I want to honor them, pay homage to them by following their way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm totally opposed to something like that, like if going viral or whatever. I'm not opposed to that, but at the same time, I can take it or leave it.
Oh, I get it. Man, your passion is music. Your passion isn't like how many followers.
Yeah,
I get that.
exactly. And I mean, if I put physical copies of albums out for sale and they don't sell, nobody wants them. It don't matter to me, man. It's just that's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
So the integrity of the music that you're making is more important than any kind of money, and I can't stress that enough.
I get it. No, I get it. And I feel like part of what you get by approaching life that way, right, is that you have the freedom. Right? You're not going to be manipulated by, you know, a flashy hook that you then bite on and now you get reeled in, right?
Yeah, and that's the mistake a lot of bands make. They think it's a great thing that you're getting signed to labels or records or whatever like that. They don't realize, man, that's the start of the biggest struggle of your damn life as a musician. Because in a typical fashion, like you say, you get signed on to like a major label or record deal or whatever. They loan you money, and that money is for production and you to get your shit done. Buddy, if you don't get that done, you're going to be in massive debt and you're going to be in some big trouble. So I don't understand why people celebrate initially getting signed, because that right there, that starts the hardest part of
the
your journey.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd be crapping my pants scared to death.
Well, especially when you were coming up, because you were, like just now artists like Taylor Swift and different people talking about owning their masters, right? And so that, I don't know that much about the music industry and how that matters as far as how much money and who's getting paid for what. But when I heard Snoop Dogg recently describing how he still doesn't own his masters.
Probably not.
He said something, this is like the level of my understanding of what that means for him, is that he doesn't get paid when it gets played on the radio.
Probably
The
not.
only time Snoop gets paid for his music is when he's doing it live.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
when you're listening to Snoop, apparently somebody else is getting paid. And I think, like, that's like one of I'm sorry, but as the United States of America, that is one of the biggest shames that artists are being robbed of the wealth from sharing their gifts.
It's been going on like that for 35 plus years,
Oh, I know.
40 plus years. That's the
Motley
problem.
Crue.
Before you make a dime, first off, in the old days, before you even made a dime, you had to sell enough albums to make up for the loan that they gave you.
Yeah.
And even after that, you would see a profit, but you would see a fraction of what the record companies were getting. They were making 10 million while you'd make 1 million. You know, I'm saying that's obviously a very, you know, Bon Jovi type of atmosphere up there. But
Motley Crue.
I'm giving
alright,
you an
I don't mean to
example.
get in, but Motley Crue just sold their complete
Catalog.
catalog, okay, for $150 million. Now think of how many magazines, how many records they've sold, how many tickets they've done. $150 million ain't that much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Yeah.
And it's, as for Snoop Dogg and his masters and Taylor Swift
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
that comes with the contractual agreement sometimes, man. And yeah, the only way he's gonna make money is off of touring, of course, because he basically sold his rights away to the record company.
Well, and you know, I think when Snoop started out, he's barely 18. He's probably like that kid that's lying to the recruiter, yeah, I'm 18, let me come to the studio, you know what I mean? So all he cares about is like, I'm getting signed, I'm gonna be a musician. Like, again, my passion is music, my passion is not business management. It's not contractual business law 1203 at the community college, right? It's,
Wow.
you know, it's music, and all I want to do is music, and I don't care because like this looks super great to me. And there were several artists that you would hear about how, you know, third album in, they're still paying back all the loans from all the productions, and then you get managers that, you know, they want to charge this and they're taxing this, and you
Why
know.
do you think so many young artists, and I mean young as in teenagers, 14, 15-year-olds, why do you think so many record companies are pushing them right now? Because they can take advantage of their asses.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And what
Right,
pisses
right.
me off more than anything is the fact that, look, man, these kids are still developing mentally and everything. They may be talented as hell, they may be the greatest singer in the world. And then they get themselves in a situation to where they're making all this money.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting all this touring, all this.
Mhm.
And then years down the road, they turn out to be the biggest piece of shit in the world because they never went through the necessary landmines in life to be able to grow up and develop as a normal person. And then they get all the blame for that. Like I'm telling you right now, it's the corporations that are doing that shit.
You know, and I think child actors are in that same ballpark, right? You know, these people that grow up in the spotlight, they grow up super managed by parents and managers and everybody saying, oh, well, you need to look this way and turn that way and,
Yep.
you know, lose weight, gain weight, you know, do your hair different, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we talk about your kids, you know, they're in their teenage years where they're really trying to just become who they're trying to become.
Yep.
It's hard to do that when you've got all this pressure
Yeah.
to be a marketable commodity. That came out funny. A commodity and marketable commodity. You know what I mean? Like that's hard. And so yeah, and then like I'm sorry, but if I'm rich and famous at 18, I'm gonna think I am a superstar. You
Oh,
are
yeah.
not gonna tell me what to do.
You don't fuck your life.
I'm
up
gonna
real
buy a
quick.
tiger and pee in the fountain. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm doing all the crazy stuff. That's just me, and I can totally see how a person, you know, and we look at some like the Disney kids, right?
Oh,
Some of the
God.
people that were,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, we look at situations like Britney Spears, who was in this conservative or whatever, because her dad was like, whatever. I don't want to speak on him and what their situation is, but that sounds like a very kind of yucky situation of a parent that wants to manage and, you know, has this cash cow. Sorry, Britt, to call you a cash cow. I apologize. But you know what I mean? Like, what kind of turmoil did that to him? And I'm just trying to give examples of kind of how, you know, of what you said about how the industry and the corporate cookie cutter machine.
Yep.
that, you know.
It's easier to take advantage of somebody who's young and naive than somebody who's been around for a while and actually looks into things and is very apprehensive of your intentions.
Yeah.
So They ruin so many people's lives this way, man. And I hate the fact that is why I hate social media, because people are so freaking judgmental about even celebrities and stuff like that, and especially these young celebrities. Man, they're still growing up just like you or I did when they were younger, and they're getting their shit on by the general public who has
And bots.
yeah,
And bots.
But
There's a bunch of bots out there just stirring the trolls.
it's really not entirely their fault, and I think that at the end of the day, everybody's responsible for their own actions. But there are other people who are responsible for their actions too, for keeping them in line, and those are the adults.
But do you think that people have always been that judgmental? It's just now they have that keyboard anonymity, and so
Oh,
they
yeah,
can say
yeah.
the things that they actually have
They got
always
that
thought.
comfort of their own
Yeah.
home, and you know what? I don't know how many people I have encountered who would like get in an argument with somebody online, and later, like at a show or a bar or something, these same two people would run face to face. You would never know they were calling each other names on Facebook.
Nobody wants any smoke.
Yeah, social media is just a joke, man. It's
Well,
good for promoting music and stuff like that, and doing all that, but everybody, it seems like everybody nowadays has a master's degree in politics or world problems from the University of Google.com.
And exactly, the University of Google is giving out degrees
Yeah.
daily by the minute. Yes.
And so, it's redundant now.
Yesterday I didn't know anything about birds. Today I got a PhD.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like when we see people arguing back and forth on like their Facebook threads, posting links, contradicting each other.
Right.
It's to the point to where you don't know what's true and what's not true anymore. It's just becomes stupid.
Well, I think it's definitely in a place where we're so divided that it's like you're either for or against me, and there are people I think that enjoy that kind of verbal combat, if you will.
Dude,
I'm with you. It's not my favorite thing, but I do like the fact that we have a place to say those things, because you get to realize it's like, wait a minute, the government doesn't always represent the people.
well, yeah.
The government doesn't always represent what everybody really wants. You know what I mean? And the media doesn't really portray the full picture.
No, the
And so
media don't give a
because we
shit.
have the internet, we're not limited to, people controlling information is one way to control people.
Yeah.
And that's part of our argument at the internet too, right? Is that these big social media, they're controlling the information.
Yeah.
They get to put their tags on whatever post they want to help redirect the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a beautiful thing. I mean, it literally is. The fact that we went from encyclopedias to now anyone with internet access. And yeah, some don't have, there's somebody out in the Philippines that barely have it. But guess what? They're getting their phones. They're getting their little data, what do they call them? But anyway, they have to buy their stuff in chunks. Like they don't pay for it like a month or whatever. It's called a load. They get a load,
Well,
right? So hold on, but real quick. So that access is available to everybody.
that's a problem.
It is a problem because now we got to know how to filter all this information,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, to me, that's beautiful because it's hard to filter it all, but it's there, it's available, and I can learn on my own. Yes, I can get my Google University or my PragerU University, whatever, like I can teach myself.
Yeah.
I can investigate the things, and I'm not limited to what the publishers are putting out. I'm not limited to what the music industry's putting out, right? I can find AOR Gypsy on the internet and listen to their songs.
Well,
And I suggest you do that.
you can illegally now.
No, he sent me a YouTube link. I'll put
Okay.
YouTube links in the description. You can watch them.
But I mean, that's the problem is, yeah, there's a lot of information that's out there that you can access that you never could before. But another thing is that it's also making people very paranoid and stupid, because it's making them choose one side. There used to be a time where you could sit at a dinner table at Thanksgiving and you wouldn't judge anybody by their political party or their race. Okay? nowadays it's
I
like,
don't
you
know what
look at
family
your
you
cousin,
were
and
in,
she's
bro,
like,
but it was definitely in my family.
well, it wasn't a prominent thing. You know, it might be in the back of your head, but it wasn't like.
I'm
My
saying
cousin-
I
my
disagree
cousin
because
likes
when I went to
Barack
dinner,
Obama.
my grandpa was with his uncles, bro. It was gnarly.
Oh, that well, see, then it's more of a passion thing, I guess. You're more passionate about politics, dude. You can't tell me that anybody gave a shit in the normal world about anything like left and right, Democrats and Republicans. Nobody gave a shit about that in a general society many years ago. Now that they have all of this information that the media is manipulating, they're quick to take a side. Oh, I'm left or I'm right. And I am not going to have a conversation with you and maybe have an open mind about it, because these are the facts that I found on Google. Same thing on this side. Now, I'm neither here nor there. I don't give a shit about it when it comes to politics, race, whatever. But I will tell you that the media, they're getting people fired up. Especially over this whole race issue. You know,
They
let me
need
tell you
clicks,
something right
too.
now.
They want clicks.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And they're willing to turn these people against each other. They want clicks.
Yeah.
Okay? This whole race issue thing with cops killing blacks, whites killing blacks. Let me tell you something, shit's happening every day. Cops are killing blacks every day, whites are killing cops, whites killing blacks, blacks killing blacks, blacks killing whites, cops killing whites and blacks, cops killing Mexicans. It don't matter. It's happening every single fucking day. And the media handpicks this shit. Because you know why? It gets people riled up.
Well, I understand your point that they're selling a situation and they're
Monopolizing.
and that's not the word I'm looking for, because it's sensationalized. They're kind of sensational. The word I was looking for was sensationalizing a little bit, because this is a topic like could be a whole nother interview talk.
Yeah, we
right. This is coming at the end. This is something that and I do want to get back to your music, but I hear your point. I think sometimes it's like other things, you know, sometimes people magnify something that's actually there, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't ignore it. So, but I do want to get back to music, working with your passion, and doing that. So, AOR Gypsy, right? Like I said, when I listened to it, how much is like when you were creating that, you wrote it all?
Oh yeah, I compose and write everything. Jason Vanek, the vocalist who I'm working with, I basically make these half-assed these vocal tracks for him when I get done writing something, and I'll send them to him, and he'll take care of the vocal part.
Right on. And you know, I definitely heard some Van Halen, that 80s, that era, and I didn't listen. I think my brother listened to Dawkins, but I didn't really. It like help me as a kind of person that doesn't know that genre so well. Like, how much is that infused or influenced in this project?
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Even down to the production itself. You know, I don't want to fall victim to that whole modern day compressed sounding production that everybody falls victim to, and I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's, I want AOR Gypsy to be something that can be related to people who are, in their ears, it's something that they can do too.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it doesn't have to be anything popular. It doesn't have to be anything that anybody likes. But if one personality in the entire world enjoys it and they're inspired by it, then fine.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you coming by, and one more time, Tom Burr with AOR Gypsy and Trippin' Fish, right? Like I said, I'll put some links in the description of the videos that he sent me, so you can go watch. Thanks for coming, and hey, if you want to come back some other time and talk about politics and issues, I'm more than happy to do so, bro. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming out. Boney Maroney.
We are Burr and Maroney. It is a pleasure